Hello, this is chapter 6.7, solving radical equations and inequalities. Now, our objectives are we're going to solve equations containing radicals, and we're going to solve inequalities containing radicals. So let's look at our vocabulary. It should just be review. What's a radical equation? So basically, a radical equation is just an equation with a radical sign and a variable as part of the radicand. An extraneous solution, that's when we get an answer, a solution that does not satisfy the original problem, and therefore it's a false answer, so we call them extraneous solutions, and there's no real solutions. All right, but we're talking specifically about radical. And then a radical inequality is when you have, again, a radical sign with the variable as a radicand, but you have an inequality sign instead of an equal sign. So we have two key concepts, and again, I put them together for a reason. To isolate, so when you're solving, the first thing you do is you isolate the radical sign to one side, and you raise it to whatever power the index is, to both sides, and then you solve the equation for the variable, and then you take your answer and you check for extraneous solutions. Okay? When it's an inequality, you do the same thing, but because it's a range, so before we do that, we take the radicand and make it greater than or equal to 0 to find the domain. When is it defined? Because other than that, it's undefined because you can't have a square root of a negative number. So we find that, and that's only when you have an even root. So that's the first thing you do. Then you do the same steps. Isolate the radical sign, raise both sides to its power of the index, solve for x, and then you test values to check your solution. So let's look at example 1, solve the equation. So, oopsie. So here we have the square root of x plus 2 plus 4 equals 7. This is an equation, so we have to isolate this by minusing 4 from both sides. So this is what we have. Now this is index of 2, so we're going to square. We're going to do the same thing here. We get x plus 2 equal 9 minus 2x equals 7. There's our solution. Let's make sure it's not extraneous. So we put it back in. 7 plus 2 is 9. The square root of 9 is 3. 3 plus 4 is 7. So 7 does equal to 7. This is our answer. Okay? They just happen to be same. They're not always going to be the same numbers. This is your solutions, whatever you solve for x and what x is. Look at b. So we have the square root of x minus 12 equal 2 minus x. So it's isolated. We're going to square it. So we have x minus 2. Oh, this is square root of x, sorry. So this means, remember by definition means 2 minus the square root of x times 2 minus the square root of x. You're going to FOIL. They are not conjugates because they have the same sign. They're the exact same problem, same factors. So when you multiply them out, you're going to get 4, and this is 12, I keep forgetting that, minus 4 square root of x plus x. You solve. Again, you have one more radical, so we have to isolate. So we're going to move everything, isolate this. I'm going to move it. I'm going to minus 4 minus x from both sides, minus x minus 4. So I get negative 16 equal negative 4 square root of x, right? 0, 0. But I got to divide by negative 4 because it's still not isolated. So I get square root of x equal 4. Now I can square both sides. Sometimes it's multiple steps. X equals 16. I'm going to put 16 back in. When you put 16 back in, you get 2 equals negative 2. Do these equal? They look the same, but they're not the same number. They don't equal, so this is an extraneous solution, so there's no real solution would be your answer. You would say extraneous and no real solution. Now, if you look at the book and look at the graph of the book, let's go to the next page. Oh, wrong thing. Here. So what you would do is, here's the problem. You would take the left side and put it as y1, and put the right side as y2. Now, it's going to graph them as two separate equations like I did here. Where they intersect is going to be the solution to this value. And you can see they do not intersect. So I might just give you a graph and say, what is the solution to this inequality? Or this radical equation. I may not give you, so you need to be able to know this. Now, if you email me your birthday, you will have a chance. I'm going to draw to earn 5 points on your next test. Don't tell anybody. This is embedded into the video. All right, so do guided practice 1A and 1B. And I need this by Wednesday night, midnight, this email or text, or you won't get those 5 bonus points on the next test. All right, so let's do the next problem. So what's the next problem tell us to do? Let's look at it. Oops. So it says 2 times 6x minus 3 raised to the 1/3 minus 4 equals 0. So this tells me I have a radical sign with a variable in the radicand. So I'm going to isolate by moving the 4 over and the 2. And I'm not going to show the algebra. If you need help, you can ask me in class. We're going to get 2. Because it's to the 1/3, I can put it in the radical sign if I want, but I know I need to make this 1, so I need to raise it to the 3rd power because the reciprocal of 1/3 is 3. And by times I get 1, so I have to cube this. So I get 6x minus 3 equals 2 cubed, which is 8. I'm going to plus 3 and divide by 6. I get x equal, when I solve this, 11/6. Again, I'm not doing the algebra here. I will do it in class if you need me to explain it. So I need to go back and check it and put it in. When I put it in, you do all the math, you're going to get 4 minus 4 equals 0, and you're going to get 0 equals 0, which is a true statement. Therefore, this is your solution. All right, so not any different, except for we're using exponential form instead of radical form. Do the guided practice 2A and 2B. Let's look at the next one, example 3. It says, it gives you multiple choice and tells you what is the solution. So the 4th root of 2n plus 6 minus 6 equals 0. So again, I'm going to move the 6 over, divide by 3, and I'm going to get the 4th root of 2n plus 6 equal 2. I'm going to raise this to the 4th power, which gives me 2n plus 6 equals 16. Minus 6 divided by 2. When I solve, I get n equals 5. But I got to check to make sure it's not extraneous. You put it in, 5 times 2 is 10. Plus 6 is 16. The 4th root of 16 is going to be 2. 2 times 3 is 6. Is 6 minus 6 equals 0? Yes, it does. So there's your answer. It's letter C. Do the guided practice 3. Let's do the one last problem, example 4, which is just an inequality. So again, we said it's pretty similar, but the first thing we have to do is we have to check the radical sign and isolate it. So we have square root of 5x minus 10 less, or we have to take it and find out when it's greater than or equal to 0, because that's the domain, because it's undefined when it's less than 0. So we get x is less than or equal to 2. Then we solve this, right? Move the 3 over, so it's 5. Square it, we get 5x less than 10. We solve it, we get x less than, if I did this all right, which I didn't do it because I'm rushing, you're going to get x less than or equal to 7. So we're going to come over here at 2 and 7, and we're going to pick points between here and put them in here. They pick 0, 4, and 9. This one gives me a false statement, so this is my solution. So my answer is going to be 2 to 7 between here and here, or the inequality x greater than or equal to 2, less than or equal to 7. All right, we'll see you at the next class. Hello.